They are scattered across Syria, Lebanon, Pakistan, and Somalia. The location of this attack is the Golis Mountains, a region within the semi-autonomous Puntland state. In these mountains, where there are numerous caves, ISIS is actively operating. Previously, the presence of ISIS in Somalia was minimal. However, recent reports suggest that after the government change in Syria, their influence has been increasing. Somalia already has a major terrorist organization, Al-Shabaab, an affiliate of Al-Qaeda. Now ISIS is growing beyond them. In some regions, former Al-Qaeda fighters in Syria have rebranded themselves, changed their names, and presented themselves as rebels. The media often refers to them as rebels, but in reality, they are former Al-Qaeda leaders who have simply repackaged themselves. Meanwhile, the president of Syria is visiting Saudi Arabia, indicating a shift in geopolitical alliances. There is growing sentiment that relying on Iran is no longer beneficial, prompting Saudi Arabia, a close ally of the US in the Gulf, to step forward. In Syria, ISIS is rapidly losing ground. Iran and Russia have been exerting significant pressure, and the media has largely ignored the fact that thousands of Russian and Iranian soldiers have died in these conflicts. Now ISIS is shifting its focus to Somalia, where they are planning specific attacks. In response, the US has taken action against them. Reports indicate that 5 loud explosions were heard as 5 missiles targeted ISIS positions. US warships in the Gulf of Oman were also likely involved in these attacks, carried out by the US Navy. Following these operations, former President Donald Trump made a statement addressing the people of the US, Somalia, and its allies, warning ISIS that if they continued their tactics of targeting innocent people, the US would not hesitate to eliminate them. To understand the political dynamics, we must look at Tulsi Gabbard's statements. She has raised concerns about US foreign policy, particularly regarding Antony Blinken, the US Secretary of State. Reports suggest that during a meeting with Hillary Clinton, Blinken claimed the US had successfully reshaped Syria's situation, declaring that Al-Qaeda was now on our side. Tulsi Gabbard has pointed out the hypocrisy in these shifting alliances. The 9/11 attacks were primarily orchestrated by Al-Qaeda, and yet today, former Al-Qaeda members are being reframed as rebels by leading Western media outlets such as The Washington Post and The New York Times. The same individuals who were once labeled as terrorists with million-dollar bounties on their heads are now presented as allies. This pattern continues in American foreign policy. Individuals who were once branded as the worst terrorists in the world, featured in countless Hollywood movies and video games, are later portrayed differently when geopolitical interests shift. When US interests require it, they are painted as fighters against dictatorship rather than as terrorists. Trump highlighted this inconsistency, emphasizing that US policy should not allow such shifting alliances. He argued that, moving forward, there should be no temporary or tactical alliances with terrorist groups for political convenience. Instead, strict actions should be taken against any such organization. A key development in this approach is the intelligence sharing agreements between the US and India. These agreements allow the US to expose ISIS networks globally and strengthen counterterrorism efforts. This intelligence cooperation benefits India significantly as it enhances its ability to combat terrorism. Trump's administration has sent a clear message. Regardless of where ISIS operates, they will be targeted. India, through intelligence sharing, is also playing an active role in counterterrorism efforts. The fight against ISIS is a serious global security issue, and the US, with over 850 military bases worldwide, is taking a firm stance. This policy shift is expected to impact Pakistan as well. There are concerns about Pakistan's involvement in supporting terrorist groups, and the increasing presence of ISIS in Somalia raises questions about where these fighters are coming from. While Pakistan has diplomatically distanced itself from such groups, its intelligence agency, ISI, has long been suspected of links to extremist organizations. Looking at Somalia's situation, if aid were strictly limited to humanitarian or medical support, there would be no issue. However, the emergence of ISIS-linked activities in Somalia suggests a much deeper problem. In the coming days, more such extremist networks could surface. I will keep you updated on further developments. Thank you